that on my social media as well. I think Israel, and I'm talking about the government of Israel, I think these people, they literally are trying to start World War III. It's completely out of control. It will never end. War will continue when Israel is pushing the United States and demanding that we wage war with them. It will continue as long as we're alive. It will never end. And Lindsey Graham, I saw a video of him this morning, and he was choking back tears, swallowing back tears, because he was saying he was so proud of President Trump for declaring war and going to war with Iran. He wasn't choking back tears for the American military members that have been killed and their families who are mourning their deaths right now. He's choking back tears because he's so happy about war. Megan, I can remember on a campaign stage in Lindsey Graham's home county, where he was born and went to elementary school, where he's from. I stood on that stage and spoke before him, and I said, no more foreign wars, no more regime change. And I said, we're going to end the war in Ukraine. The crowd went nuts, thousands of people. Then Lindsey Graham came out right behind me and spoke right after me, and they booed him for 10 minutes on stage. That was a little over, I think it was about a year and a half ago. It was during the campaign. They booed him in his home county for 10 minutes straight. But when you watch a video like that from the former prime minister of Israel, all I can think about is the military-industrial complex. Those guys are lighting up their cigars, drinking their whiskey, and patting each other on the back, because all they can think about is how much money they're going to make off the American taxpayers, making bombs, building new aircraft, building new drones, and building all kinds of military equipment just to kill people all over the world. While the American people, all they want is to be able to fucking afford a house, afford health insurance, and be able to maybe live the dream like the baby boomers did, and live a family that can live on a single family income and not have both parents working themselves to death so their children have to live in daycare and grow up in daycare. And that's the reality that we're in, Megan. It is America last, and it makes me want to vomit. I don't even know if I ever want to vote again. I am so disgusted. Democrats destroyed this country for 4 years, and now Republicans, and we didn't vote for the Lindsey Grahams and the Mark Levins and fucking Laura Loomer. She needs to go over there to Israel because they need 100,000 reservists, and she's 32 years old, so she should go fight in that war too. That's not MAGA. That is not MAGA. That's not America first. This isn't what we voted for, and I can tell you right now, neither party gives us anything. It's back and forth, and it's the uniparty always wins. And this time, it's not even the uniparty for America. It's literally Israel first, and then where is it going to stop?
Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this panel show are those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of this channel, its affiliates, sponsors, or production team. This content is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. We encourage respectful dialogue and critical thinking around the topics discussed.
Party. Why I like the new party? Number one, it's a group of people that's on a panel. We all have differences, but we all basically still come together at the end of the day. The new party for me is about unity. The new party for me is about educating people to the truth, letting people know what's been going on in our country. With that being said, shout out to the new party, man. We're gonna keep it going with y'all.
You're muted, Nora.
Sorry. Welcome to the new party. I'm Nora Christie.
I'm Gray Mars.
Andrew Williams.
I'm Kim.
It's Mia.
And I'm Enzo.
And tonight on the new party, we have very hot topics. First, we are going to kick it off with, is the Iran war linked to biblical ties? And then we're going to end talking about the Clintons' disastrous deposition on the Epstein files. As you saw in that first clip, Marjorie Taylor Greene kicked it off. She's fired up. You know, she has now resigned. Enzo, your people in the chat, they're crashing out. They're saying they hate Marjorie Taylor Greene. Why does MAGA hate Marjorie Taylor Greene now?
Well, first off,
queen of MAGA. I know you're not MAGA, but a lot of MAGA hate Marjorie Taylor Greene now.
Well, first off, I just want to point out her hypocrisy with the military-industrial complex, because right here, quick Google search, Marjorie Taylor Greene publicly disclosed in reporting on how MTG has invested in several defense and military linked companies in recent years: Lockheed Martin, Raytheon RTX, Qualcomm, Palantir.
There you go.
Calling out the military industrial complex and the so-called neocons when she's literally invested in herself. This is why I've been calling MTG a clown, and anybody who's falling for her bullshit that she's throwing out there to rile up a base. Like, just come out and say you're a liberal and you're a hypocrite, and we will all accept you for that. It's okay. She's just putting on a mask right now. So I mean, nobody's really crashing out over this, because I mean, the real people in the Republican Party have been calling out Marjorie Taylor Greene for years. I don't care if she was like the queen of MAGA or whatever it was. I've been watching her for years now, and I've been calling her out to be a clown the entire time. So
well, then we've covered the Iran war for 3 nights now. We haven't heard from Andre and Kimberly, so we'll be having them go first. But our take tonight is going to be commenting on what the commanders said in a meeting. It's now been leaked that the commanders are saying this is a war on biblical Armageddon. This is going to be the second coming of Jesus Christ. They're trying to manifest it and have it come to fruition. But before we get into that, this clip talks about a recap of day 2, very critical of it. And I'm going to have Andre and Kimberly give their take if they support the war.
With Iran spiraling out of control at a pace I didn't even think was fucking possible. Trump has already come out and said this might take 4 to 5 weeks, but then you got other generals out there saying that we don't have enough fucking interceptor missiles to last 4 or 5 weeks. On top of that, it's our other allies in the region, right? The UAE came out and they said they can't last another week. Iran is putting so much pressure on all of our allies around there, right, that let us use those bases. And if we can't protect them, then they have no reason to remain our allies. This is the chess Iran is playing. Iran is playing for all the fucking cards on the deck. They said, this is where it fucking ends. So, you know how Trump asked for a ceasefire and they were like, no, fuck this, dude. We're finishing this right here. And Trump's like, ground troops aren't out of the fucking question. It's like, no, ground troops are totally out of the question, because look at a fucking map. There's no way to get in. Afghanistan and Iraq are so unstable, there is no way to put an army there in significant numbers enough to invade Iran. Not to mention, it's ringed with fucking mountains that you can't fucking cross without getting ambushed up a motherfucker. The only other way in is the Straits of Hormuz, and those are the hot gates, the 300. There's no taking that straight. It's not fucking possible. People, for millennia, gigantic armies have ground themselves into dust against completely defensible positions. Some ground cannot be contested, and some battles should never be fought, and this is one of them, and we have no fucking off-ramp now. They went in there. This should be good. It started as Operation Epstein Fury, and now this should be called Operation No Fucking Plan B, because even it's going so fucking poorly. Marco Rubio came out and he said it right out loud. He said, we had to attack Iran because we had intelligence that Israel was going to attack anyway, and then we'd be caught flat-footed and we wouldn't have fucking struck.
Okay, Andre, before you respond, I do want to give an update. They say that the airstrikes inside Iran are intensifying and going positively. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I've heard. But unfortunately, all the options for who is to take over the regime have been killed by the Trump administration. So as somebody that actually served in a uniform, thank you for your service. What is your thoughts? Was this good, us going in? Yes or no?
Well, one, let me say I was not a combat MOS. I served, but I was not someone who saw any combat. So I just want to put that there. People who can give way better insight on how this would look and how this would go about it. I can give my perspective. This is terrible. This is probably the worst shit we could ever have. But it's good for Israel, and it's good for Jewish supremacy, Jewish power. They love it. This is what they've been planning for the last 40 years. They've been doing it to every country in proximity to Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon. We're looking at them pushing into Lebanon right now. They want to establish a buffer zone. That's what the IDF and as well as many Israeli politicians have talked about for years. We're seeing the destabilization of the Middle East, and every operation we've done come into play. And I mean, yeah, we're looking at boots on the ground into Iran. It's not going to be good. That's not a good time. I mean, look how it went in Afghanistan. The more mountainous regions of Afghanistan didn't work out too well. This isn't a fucking a desert that people are just going to walk in and find some camels and no, this is going to be a very hard time, and a lot of Americans are going to die. And I think we have more troops in the region. I don't think we ever had that since Desert Storm, Desert Shield. And people are like, "Oh my goodness, this is Israeli disarrangement syndrome." No, nigga, I want America first. The people who voted for Trump originally in 2015, that watched him clown George Bush and Bill Clinton and Daddy Bush and Barack Obama because of their failed foreign policy, because of their failure in the Middle East. The same Donald Trump that we voted for originally, he wasn't for these endless wars in the Middle East. He wasn't for. He talked about how the Bush administration lied about WMDs, which we all know is a fact. There were no WMDs in Iraq. That's a fact. That's verifiable. They sat back and they pushed the same lie over and over again. Oh, Iran's building nuclear weapons. Guess who has nuclear weapons in the Middle East? Israel has nuclear weapons. They acquired that illegally, stole the information, and covertly made this entire nuclear program behind their backs. You know who has nuclear weapons? It's an Islamic country. Pakistan. These people can barely wipe their ass. They smell, and they've got fucking nuclear weapons. Think about that. They're got camels and curry shit, and they've got nuclear weapons. And we're going to think about Iran getting one. Get the fuck out of here. This is bullshit. Israel has nuclear weapons and has been the greatest threat to peace in the Middle East and even the world. And this is our downfall. You know, it's sad that being 250 years as a nation, we are occupied by Jews who have pushed us to go to war on their behalf. And now we have to sit back and pay the price. And we're looking at on every social media platform. These people are flooding people's comments with this pro-Israel bullshit. We know that anyone who actually voted for Trump originally, the original America First movement that surrounded Trump in 2015, we were not for fucking pro-war. We were not for war with Iran. We were not for war in the Middle East. We shit on all of that shit. And Trump has betrayed us. And the entire Republican Party that love him today, the Lindsey Grahams, hated him yesterday. The Marco Rubios, they fucking hated Donald Trump. All these people you see, the Ted Cruz, they fucking hated him. But now they love him because guess what? They're doing the bidding of the military-industrial complex and Jews and Zionists within government. So that's all I really got to say.
Oh man. So Kimberly, how do you follow up with that? I want to know, why do you think, from a pacifist standpoint, why is this bad? But I don't want you just to focus on, like, obviously I know you're anti-war, but why should we not have taken this on?
From like, well, just a pacifist point of view, it's immoral, but also from an America First point of view, it's expensive. We've gone into trillions of dollars worth of debts just to fund these endless wars and just to make these arms manufacturers and spyware companies a lot richer. It's a war of the elites, and unfortunately we're the pawns. Are you going to show a clip about the religious thing? Is that a separate conversation? Okay, then, well, I mean, I'll go into that in a bit.
I'll play the clip first, and then I'll bounce back to you, Kim.
Okay, go ahead.
So guys, the biggest thing about this conversation, me and Kimberly, who's a Christian on the panel? Raise your hand. It's like 3, 4, 5. All right, 6. So majority of the panel is Christian. And open up the Bible, y'all, because I'm about to say I have mixed feelings on this war, but I do not support this religious BS, because this is not what the Bible says. And we're going to have a conversation tonight on it. Here is one of the most favorite pastors of America. He's a Zionist pastor, John Hagee. This is what he had to say.
Thank you, Mr. President, for being a friend of Israel.
Oh, wow. He got a hell of a forehead.
God bless you for having the courage to do what others feared to do. God bless our fighting forces in the Middle East in the brilliant execution. God bless our forces in the Middle East in the brilliant execution of Operation Epic Fury. Today we will discover in Bible prophecy that God has an Operation Fury. He has planned for Iran and Russia in the near future. Stay tuned in the television audience. Let's read Psalms 122, 6 through 9. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May they prosper who love you. Peace be within your walls, prosperity within your palaces. For the sake of my brethren and companions, I will now say, peace be unto you. Because of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek your good. Can we pray together? Our most gracious Heavenly Father, as we gather in this house today, we pray for the peace of Jerusalem and the many Christians in Iran that will now be free to worship you in spirit and in truth. The Word of God commands us to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, for they shall prosper that love you. We thank you for the fabulous military victory over the enemies of Israel this week. The Bible says, he that keepeth Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. We thank you for our President, Donald Trump, whose wise courage has crushed the enemies of Zion. Today we rejoice in the prophetic scriptures of Ezekiel revealing God's Operation Fury for the enemies of Israel in the near future. King David writes in the Psalms concerning Israel, you shall break them with a rod of iron. You shall dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel.
Okay, Kim, what Bible he reading from? Because my Bible said you cannot manifest this. This is spiritual manipulation. And if you guys go to a church that is praying like this and talking like this, I'm going to pray that you find a new church. But keep going.
I sat through that out of respect for you. Honestly, that was horrible. So long. I wanted to throw up. But so I don't really buy this whole religious bullshit. They're doing it because they're making themselves rich. And I'm not one to punch down at voters, but this whole religious argument that they're spewing is sadly to get a lot of the voters on board for it. And I mean, I don't believe that scripture actually confirms that there is an antichrist, but if there was, it would be collectively American right-wing evangelical Christians, and the pinnacle of that was the Charlie Kirk death conference. This is disgusting. This is completely the opposite of everything that Jesus stood for. Jesus was a pacifist and a socialist and a humanitarian. And I think when people use the religious argument to propagate war, it speaks for itself, really. I think what's sad is the people who believe that. The reason why we're in Iran right now is because it's the last of the 7 countries from the clear break strategies that Israel has had since 1996. And the reason why they wanted that clean break strategy is for dominance in the region, aka for oil. It's just the same reason why they couped Iran in 1953, because the British Petroleum, the then country, the actual democratic country of Iran, wanted to nationalize the oil, which they did, but BP didn't want that. So MI6, CIA went in there, couped the country. They installed a dictator, a literal monarchy, and then that led to the 1979 revolution, which leads us to the very repressive regime that we have now in Iran. And I'm sympathetic towards anybody who, like when you see Iranians celebrating the ending of that oppressive regime. Sadly, history will prove that it never ends well. Whenever the U.S. intervenes, it always ends worse, like with Libya, for example, and honestly, dozens of other examples. But that's the real reason why we're in the war. The whole religious argument, really, for me, is so disgusting, and it's so sad because it's, like I said, completely antithetical to anything that Christ stands for. And sadly, a lot of these gullible American voters are eating it up, and ironically are going to force the end times, because we're really just like starting a really, really disastrous war with a lot of very powerful people in play, and it could end very badly. And these people don't give a fuck. They have their bunkers. If anybody out there has a bunker, please let me know. I'll be your friend. But it's scary. It really is, and it's a shame.
So I want to get Lamb Chop in here. Lamb, I'm going to play this clip because to Kimberly's point, there has been a clip that everyone's been talking about where a representative of Israel said that after Iran, they plan to go after this country next, or this country is the next threat.
Turkish threat is emerging. I want to be very clear. Turkey and Qatar have gained influence in Syria, are seeking influence elsewhere and everywhere throughout the region. And from here, I warn, Turkey is the new Iran. Erdogan is sophisticated, dangerous, and he seeks to encircle Israel. And while some senior Israelis were on Qatar's payroll, Qatar and Turkey are nourishing the Islamic Brotherhood monster that is growing and eventually might become as dangerous as the one created by Iran. Turkey and Qatar are gaining influence not only in Syria, but also in Gaza, through the front door, and everywhere, and trying to create a new choke ring. Turkey is trying to flip Saudi Arabia against us and establish a hostile Sunni axis with nuclear Pakistan.
So, guys, whoever's watching, please hit the like button. But Lamb,
Yes,
what is
ma'am.
your response to that? Why are they now saying after Iran, Turkey is the next threat? Which I want to put out there for everyone to know. Turkey is a member of NATO,
yeah.
the alliance that we're in. So go ahead.
Listen, they can hope for Turkey and want Turkey all they want, but they're not going to get Turkey. Like it's that simple. Like we won't allow them to get Turkey. NATO's not going to allow them to get Turkey. Also, going back to the first video that we played, for the record, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I did a little homework. She brought 0 affordability bills to Congress. She brought 0 affordability bills to her state. So she can kindly take a short walk off of a very, very long pier, for all I care. As far as the whole Strait of Hormuz thing, for the record, I don't really know who's going to stop us because as of this morning, the entire Iranian Navy is gone. It doesn't exist. Who's gonna stop us? Who's gonna close it? Because it's not going to be Iranian oil tankers. They're not going to get involved. Russia doesn't have the financial backing or the financial depth to get involved. And China's entire capability, entire goal is to invade Taiwan in 2027. And they've already openly said they're not going to get involved. The only thing they're giving up Iran is moral backing. So I don't really know who's going to get involved when it comes to closing the Strait of Hormuz. As far as like the whole Pakistani nuke thing, Pakistan has openly, directly threatened to use nukes on the United States openly in a very long time. Iran has done it multiple times. Matter of fact, not only that, I would say it's enough for attack a country when a country is openly getting caught plotting assassinations on presidential candidates and former presidents. For those that aren't aware, you need to look up the Farhad Shakiri plot and the Asif Merchant plot, both in 2024, one of which got openly caught on an undercover FBI agent on video. And that court case starts this month. Also consider the fact that Iran has openly targeted U.S. military bases and U.S. service members over 200 times since 2020 is also enough. Like, everybody thinks this is a big World War III thing. China and Russia has openly said that they're not getting involved. The Ayatollah, the son of Khamenei, that was put in as Ayatollah today, got eliminated in under 3.5 hours. They went to go have a National Security Council meeting this morning. The IDF took down the entire building. They can keep trying. They can keep throwing stuff at us. But now you have Saudi Arabia working with the United States. You have Qatar, Jordan, Oman. Lebanon has now just told historically Israel they don't give a fuck. Go after Hezbollah. As long as you don't hit Lebanese infrastructure, we don't care. like everybody is thinking that this is going to be like this big historical biblical thing. That the Iranian people have somebody who they like. There's a good portion of the Iranian people who they want. And now that it's also come out that the CIA has been smuggling weapons into Western Iran for the volunteer Kurds, they now have weapons against the IRGC to fight back, which they haven't had this entire time. So like I don't know why everybody's all up in arms. Yeah, like my heart goes out to the American service members that will be lost during this. It's awful. I don't think I'm not wishing this on anybody, but this is a multifaceted thing, and I don't think anybody like this isn't just like a we're going for Israel kind of thing. No, we're going to affect China, who gets over 60% of oil from the Middle East.
Why is that a good thing? This is the retarded part that most of the people on the right are losing. And this is why we don't have a movement anymore, because we have all these establishment cucks over here supporting Jewish influence and Jewish supremacy in our country. None of that's good. So let's go back to what you said about, well, these people are threatening America. They've threatened the United States with nuclear weapons. Well, guess what? Like I said, you've got Israel who has nukes, and you've got Pakistan who has nukes. Pakistan Osama bin Laden, wasn't he caught in Pakistan? Didn't he go back and forth into Pakistan? Wasn't the Pakistanis working with Al-Qaeda? Weren't they always transitioning back into this country? I mean, what the fuck are we talking about? Most of the terrorist groups that have popped up over the last 40 years have been supported by the CIA, Mossad, and the GID, the Saudi intelligence community. Mm-hmm. So we've sat back and backed these people. We've funded these people. We've given them money through the CIA. We've done it through AID. We've done it extensively. And we've built these people up, and they've destroyed these countries. And then guess what? We sit back and we know they're not going to be able to run it. And it turns into Syria. It turns into Iraq. It turns into Libya, a slave capital. And now we have to deal with the ramifications of that. What are we going to get? Like the 2011 color revolutions? We're going to get the Arab Spring, and that turns into absolutely nothing. These countries are now fucked over because of that. I mean, I don't know why we have all this Jewish bootlicking, like this establishment bootlicking. The people who voted for no war, no more endless wars. That part of MAGA, the original MAGA movement, is dead. And it's been replaced by these grifters and these, people who are completely, they're children in this conversation of what the Trump movement was originally for. Like, we weren't for this when he bombed Syria in 2017. We found it to be completely disgusting. We supported Assad because guess what? Assad was going to keep things in control, keep things in power. Same thing with Saddam Hussein. Same thing with Gaddafi. We got rid of these people, and now these countries are shitholes. And if we look at Syria, I mean, the guy running it now was on a hit list, was on a CIA hit list for years, and now he's the buddy. Oh my goodness! And now the Syrians are talking about putting troops near the Lebanese border to support Israel. What the fuck are we dealing with? What are we doing? This shit is stupid. I don't think it's biblical. I really don't care about that. I really, honestly, I think that's important, but I do think that's a very normie perspective. It's either Republican, Democrat shit, or it's, this is about Christianity. You get the evangelical Christians that come in who are mostly retarded and probably the worst Christians ever. I honestly hate evangelicals. They're stupid. They've proven that throughout the 90s and 2000s. They're fucking stupid. The Joel Osteen motherfuckers, the Billy Grahams, these people are retarded. And I'm sorry to say it, Charlie Kirk as well was a weak Christian. I am tired of this ass-kissing Christianity that has made our people, Christian civilization so weak. Because we've been dominated by Jews, and then also we've been allowing Muslims to come in and fuck us over as well. But the main part at the end of the day is that we've been supporting. The reason for why they chant death to America, the main reason for why they chant death to America is because we support Israel. The reason for why Osama bin Laden crashed or planned the 9/11 attack, which we all know that Israel was involved with that. The reason for why they've done that is because we support Israel. We're killing their racial brethren. We're attacking their religious homelands. And they're not going to tolerate that. If that was going on here in the United States, we fight to the fucking death. We would scorch earth this shit if this was us. If this was happening to the United States, the American people, we scorch earth, motherfucker. But the moment it's happening to, the camels over here, it's like, well, this is good. Are you going to go sign up and go fight? And when it gets really hot, because like I said, this is not a good war. This is not something that's going to be a walk in the park. This isn't like, we're just going to go and ride in the desert. This is something that can get very brutal. These people are determined to fight, and they have a long history of being determined to fight. And it's not going to be a good thing. So all the people who are supportive of this shit, you better be willing to go sign up. And I'll come with you if you want me to. I'll fucking do it. But if we're really going to, push for this war, we better have a fucking plan, and we better be ready for the occupation that comes with that. And this isn't about China. The China shit and the Russia shit, You're showing me you have no understanding of geopolitics if you're including China into the discussion, honestly.
Is China not trying to go after Taiwan in 2027? That which, if they were getting control of the semiconductors, would actually fuck our
Taiwan is a
economy up?
part of China.
Hold on. I would say this. So, yeah, Taiwan is a part of the du jour, the historical du jour. They can do whatever they want. It's like if we want to reclaim Alaska or, if we want to reclaim Hawaii, like that's ours. It's always been us. We're going to fucking do what we want to. If we lost Hawaii tomorrow and, for 50 years, it was no longer in our possession, we're going to come back and say, guess what? We want Hawaii, baby. I want to go fucking surfing with the kids. We're going to take that shit. So China can do whatever they want within their sphere of influence. Too bad. We need to fix ourselves. That's what we get. That's what we get for NAFTA. That's what we get for the TPP. That's what we get for shipping our jobs overseas to China and into the Pacific. That's what the fuck we get. You can blame Bill Clinton. You can blame Daddy Bush, Bush Jr., Obama, and the rest, and even Trump for that. This is what happens when you have weak politicians that don't serve the interests of the American people.
I mean, you're not going to get an argument out of me regarding that, but I think we should do anything in our absolute fucking power to stop China.
Why? China hasn't been in war since 1979. They're dominating the world through diplomacy.
Well, pause. We need to allow other people to talk that haven't talked yet. Mia, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts are this is the crazy timeline we're on now, man. I can't believe I'm living through another weird time in history. I mean, at the end of the day, I think pride comes before the fall. And I think as Americans, we don't quite know what losing feels like. So we have this idea that we're never going to lose. But pride always comes before the fall. We can ask the Romans, we can ask the Greeks, we can ask the Sumerians. I mean, we can ask the Atlanteans if you believe that. Pride always comes before the fall. And I think people think this is going to be like Venezuela and we're going to go in and we're going to blah, blah, blah. We're going to get out. No, these people are here to fight. They're here to fight. And I think the fact that we look at them as primitive and we look at them as less than really gives them more of an advantage. They knew last year after our first attack that we were coming back. People have been predicting this before Donald Trump was even elected, that he was going to be elected and that we were going to invade Iran, period. They predicted this before any of us even started talking about this. And I think these people are going to give us a run for our money. And the fact that we are running out of munitions isn't a good sign either. The fact that Iran is using $20,000 drones and we are using $3 million Patriot missiles. And I mean, I'm telling you, buddy, what Patriot missiles, it's not something you can go to Costco and buy on deck. Okay. So right now, the fact that it was only supposed to be a few days and then all of a sudden Hegseth says now 4 to 6 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks isn't a good sign. Plus now we're getting footage of Donald Trump screaming in Pete's face. Clearly that's not a good sign. We're now getting intel of Congress members saying that it's going to require ground troops to actually complete this. And I'm going to be honest, I've been around enough flatlanders in my life. I don't know how the fuck the United States military is going to do mountains at that extent. It's not like, I just think pride comes before the fall. And I think a lot of people are not quite prepared to lose at this point in time.
Thank you, Mia. That was very well said. Gray, before you respond, Andre, you have a fan. Iron Cowboy said, Andre, the brown on brown, a working bro, fire fashion designer. You look like a walking turd. I think you look nice.
They sent you $5. That's very nice.
I think they
exactly. Thank you for the $5.
Can I say one more thing? And I will say the biggest difference between what we have going on now to, let's say, Iraq and Afghanistan is now we don't have any friends. Iraq and Afghanistan, the Brits were there, the French were there, the Australians were there. These people were backing us. No hands down, nothing. They were backing us. They sent their troops there with ours back in 2001.
That's not true. The entire Middle East, majority of the Middle East is on our side. They don't like Iran. That's
you didn't hear what I said. I didn't say
deploying a carrier.
I did not say the Middle East is against us. I said one of the key differences is Europeans aren't with us this time like they were last time. So that's just less friends we have with us. And the enemy of my enemy is my friend until it doesn't serve them anymore. So eventually the Middle East is going to be tired of being bombed by Iran. So if we don't take care of this problem quickly, you know how many desalination plants they have there? If they hit one desalination plant in Saudi Arabia, that's 60% of the water that they have will be done in 2 weeks. That's all it takes is one or two strategically placed missiles for desalination plants. Okay. So, I mean, at this point in time, we're going to have to choose. We're going to have to figure out what we're doing here because it doesn't feel like there's a big game plan going on. It just feels like we're here and then they're not planning for what comes next.
That's not true. I think it is hubris. True. England is saying that they're going to back us. France is saying they're going to back us. That's not true.
Actually, she's right. UK just said they're not gonna. The UK just came out and said that they're not gonna let the US fire missiles from where they're at. They just said
the UK just said that, or Spain just said that.
Spain.
The UK. Keir Starmer.
Keir Starmer gave us access to Diego Garcia.
Yeah.
We're now taking planes off from Diego Garcia and Raf Fairborn.
Yeah.
They gave us access, and the France is deploying the Charles de Gaulle to the Hormuz Strait.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to lose now. The French are getting involved. Oh, shit.
Yeah, I know. Well, listen, they also said that they are now making nuclear warheads. I pictured, that Acme missile that essentially waves out a white flag when it launches.
Yeah. I could see that from the French. The baguettes don't know what they're doing, so they've lost their touch.
Yeah, I mean, we have 15
get some good
nations
French
now.
fries.
We have 15 nations now involved. We have Saudis flying with us. We have the Kuwaits flying with us. We have 15 nations flying with us.
Yep. But still, why is that good? That's the whole thing. I mean, good is kind of like who gives a fuck about good or bad? I mean, it really doesn't matter. But how does that benefit the average American? How is the average American going to gain something from war in Iran? It's really going to piss
Trump
off
keeping his promise
a lot of the American working class.
Trump keeping his promise.
It's not a promise from 2015.
Yeah, it is.
That was not one of his promises.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
No,
when he was on
not.
the campaign
As
trail,
one
when
of
he
the
was asked,
one of the most earliest people, as someone who supported Trump early on, that was not one of his campaign promises.
Should I pull the clip?
I didn't get my turn.
You could pull the clip. I remember all the clips. I remember watching the rallies. I remember going to the rallies. Very young in high school. I remember going to the rallies.
Boom! Watch this.
He never said, "Let's go to war with Iran. Let's do boots on the ground." He criticized Bush for that extensively.
While Enzo pulls that up, Gray.
Done.
We've talked about it 6 times, but you can give your thoughts. What's your opinion? Is this biblical end times? Like, what do you think?
Trump's the Antichrist. If you look at all of the characteristics, it looks like Trump is the Antichrist, and the MAGA hat is a symbol of the beast. So I'll go with my biblical scholar part on this. People called Obama the Antichrist. And by Obama and Trump are the main people that I've seen being accused of being the Antichrist. And they both say that the person is charismatic and this person is going to be a beast. But Nora, you're the one that told me that the Sami guy, whatever his name is, had cancer and he was about to die. And
so
Trump,
let me be clear. I don't support when we did this, but I do support why we did it, because I'm not just looking at it from Israel. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. When y'all keep talking about Israel, y'all then mix in Muslims, and then it just becomes like a hodgepodge of hate. I'm not going to lie to you, because it's 1 minute you guys hate Israel, then you also hate the Muslims. Which is it? Like, honest, like I can't keep up, but I can't keep up with bullshit. Like, the reality is people are supporting this. This is good because for me, I'm going to say it. Yeah, it was the wrong timing. If we would have waited another year, dude was going to die. I think that's what frustrates me. Why couldn't we have waited? And that's where I think Israel gets involved. Israel put the pressure on us.
No, you let me finish. You let me finish.
Okay, go ahead, because you brought up something I talked about, and I want to make sure I answer that too.
Trump himself said that the people that he was going to have take over Iran have already been blown up. So they don't even have a plan of who they want to take over. Literally, the people he wanted to take over, they blew up. So I don't know if this is a biblical thing, but I've heard from MAGA people myself in my personal life that said, oh, well, Trump isn't the Antichrist. He's the person that helps the Antichrist. Very religious people. So that's my biblical take on that.
What he means
I will
by
say
that,
go ahead.
as far as like the people that would be taking out. So when the protests were happening, they went around and they were slaughtering the protesters, but they were also slaughtering the leaders of those protests. There was estimated that there was 35,000 unalive. It's probably a lot higher. I would say probably conservatively, it's probably closer to 40. But there were people that were leading that movement that people did want that were unalived. Now, as far as like who leads next, unfortunately, it's probably gonna have to be Reza Pahlavi, which I really don't want. There are like a third of Iranians. For those that don't know who Reza Pahlavi, he is last of the Shah. A third of the Iranians want the Shah back, but there's really nobody left, and I don't really want anybody from the sitting IRGC to take over that country. I don't want a Khomeini loyalist. Anybody that's a Khomeini loyalist, like.
You're an American. Why would you care? You live in the United States. Who cares?
Because if it's a Khomeini loyalist, they're going to continue funding the H groups. If they're a Khomeini loyalist, they're going to continue funding the H groups.
The CIA and the Mossad
CIA is funding Hamas, the Houthis, and the Hezbollah.
The CIA, most definitely. They have a long history of supporting and funding many of these terrorist groups that have turned on us, or it's just been dual assets. That's something that's
H groups.
We talk to the intelligence community. Excuse me?
They're funding the H groups.
Are they funding terrorist groups? Yes.
No. I'm talking about
groups.
specifically the Iranian-backed H groups. I know
are the Iranians? Yes, these are freedom fighters. Hezbollah and Hamas, freedom fighters. Of course, they're going to fund them. So I would expect them to fund them. But guess what? If there was guess what? If Russia took over all of Europe, everything to the Bay of Biscay, all the way up, everything in France, bordering the Pyrenees, everything. If Russia took all that over, we'd be supporting French terrorist groups. We'd be supporting, British, let's take some tea and crumpets and kick their ass terrorist groups to fight the Russians. We'll be doing it every day. We'd be funding them all the time. That's what we'll do.
Why are they doing it?
And that's what we've always been doing. Why are they doing it in Africa? Because Africa, so we have to understand what multipolarity is. So you have three main powers that are emerging in the world. The United States is not going to be the sole power anymore. I mean, this is how things are going to go. It's going to be Russia. It's going to be China, most definitely. And the United States. And I think you'll have various independent powers. They'll pop up in various different spheres of influence. But Africa, it's going to take another century for anything significant to rise out of it. Just economically, we look at intelligence. Just nothing's really going to come into fruition over like the next century. So Africa is a place where everyone is trying to take resources or trying to build up small governments or to build up movements. They've been doing this forever. I mean, that's how it's going to be. So I don't really know what your question is. Why are they building up in Africa? Why wouldn't they be? We are doing the same thing. We've always been doing it.
That's where the Houthis were primarily operating out of, were they not?
It's not even about the Houthis. It's more about resources. This is a class and race thing that most people don't want to have a because they want to block like left and right or Jesus Christ and Islam. It's like it has nothing to do with the religious shit. It has everything to do with race and class. It has everything to do with power and how to wield that power. It's about civilizations, not this minor shit.
Sure.
Irony in what you just said.
I
just want to point this out. The irony in what Andre just said, that it is a class war, not a race or religious thing, when all that comes out of his mouth is Jew, 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 like he's trying out for Alex Jones.
Jews are race. Jews are right. Jews are a race.
Jews are religion. Judaism is religion. It's not a race.
Are a race. Jews have always classified themselves as separate from whites. They've always classified themselves as a race. Yes, they have. Historically, they are a race.
But it's not just a religion. You're saying that this is a class war. That's all I'm saying.
It is, most certainly.
Right now.
What?
It's a race. It's a Jew on here right now. Nora's Jewish.
Yeah, race is a
That's not a race. Jew is a religion. Judaism is a religion.
Wait a minute. You better stop.
No, they're not. Literally.
Stop. Like in my DNA, it says I'm 4% Sephardic Jewish. That's what he's talking about, and 3% Ashkenazi Jewish.
Oh,
that's
no.
But I do think it is. I can only speak from my experience. We have Moroccan Jews in my father's country, so I can only speak from my experience. So, in my experience, it is a race. And it's also a religion. You can be religious. You can be Jewish and your religion. It's both, right?
Mm-hmm. It's both. I just want to add.
Go ahead, Kim. Because
the whole prophecy of the end times and the Book of Revelation was an allegory for the end of the Roman Empire, and we can see the parallels to that with the hubris. I think that's what the quote unquote, or at least from now, what Trump thinks he had success in Venezuela, that remains to be seen, gave him really more of that confidence to try something else again. And he has a lot of people in his ear. The Saudis want it, the Israelis want it. So at the end of the day, it is a power thing. There are, like I've said before, our real masters, we don't know who they are. We don't see them. They control everything we hear, everything we read, everything we smell, everything we eat, everything in our lives. And they are our real masters. And they're groups of elites all over the world. And we're the pawns of that. And they try to convince us through like these fake pseudo like geopolitic narratives. They try to convince us through these fake religious narratives. All of it's a lie. At the end of the day, they're just trying to make each other rich. And they're already looking at the next war, because it's an endless cycle of war, because they have to keep the war machine going, because if not, then their stocks will go down and they'll lose a lot of money. So they're always looking for the next war, even before it has even started. Also, I'm for the abolition of NATO. They should have abolished NATO after the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991. Hooray, we defeated communism. But here we are. NATO's honestly just an arms trafficking corporation that the United States uses to freaking wreak havoc all over the world. But yeah, just wanted to make that connection. The end times in the book of Revelation is an allegory for the end of the Roman Empire. It's a metaphor, and unfortunately they're forcing it to truth now through their ambitions to continue these wars at the expense of us.
Okay, that was well said. Mia, I'm gonna let you have the closing thoughts on this before we move on.
I guess I don't want to say I'm anti-war. I would just prefer to have more of a purpose for war. And I think at this point in time, America First tells me that we need affordable housing, tells me that we have starving people in this country, tells me that we have a lot of problems in this country, but yet we can afford a $3 million Patriot missile to be shot out every 15 seconds with nobody bats an eyelash. But for some reason, we don't want to feed kids. We don't want to house Americans. We don't want to clothe Americans. We don't want to build infrastructure. We don't want to replace our roads, our bridges. We don't want to do anything that would literally improve every single American life, something that is tangible, that we can touch, that's tactile. But of course, as Kimberly said, and as Andrea said, and even Lanchoff has said, I mean, terrorism is a construct of American military complex. We pay the terrorists commit these atrocities, and then we spend all of this money on defense. We pay all these contractors in order to keep this machine going in response to that. So we pay the terrorists commit terror, and then we spend all this money on the defense. And then what do you know? It just keeps circling like one big circle jerk. So at the end of the day, if we're going to be real honest, it's the United States that's the biggest terrorist, because we pay these people to be this way, so we can respond to that with our budget. And then that's how it goes. That's how we keep our country afloat, because nobody's buying U.S. Treasury bonds anymore. The two things are keeping the United States afloat: defense spending, tech. That's it.
One big circle jerk. I love that.
Yes. So people in the chat's like, then we don't talk about religion anymore. Okay, we're gonna switch gears. We ain't gonna talk about religion anymore. We're gonna talk about Bill and Hillary Clinton. Maybe this is something we can all agree on. Probably not. I'm sure Gray will be defending his Democrat